let's see, last year we did 35. And I didn't really go back and look at the history going back, I guess I should have. But I feel like it's been,
around 20.
yeah. I feel like they tend to go like 15,000, 20,000, 25,000, 30, you know, it jumps around. There's no, we don't have a capital improvement plan, you know, so.
So do we tweak these? Say no, we're not.
We don't have to put any of them on the warrant if you don't want to. We don't have to. We did that to the library a couple of years ago. We didn't like the warrant they asked us to put on, so we didn't. I'm sure that wasn't the only time it's ever been done, but it's just the one that comes to mind because I was on the board when it happened.
No, that's fine. Okay, one more article.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You wanted it as 40?
Yeah.
All right.
People want it, they'll get it. Not.
That was another motion?
Yeah, motion.
I second that. All right. What else did I got on here? Recycling we just talked about. If you want to stick with that.
Yeah.
The 15 for recycling?
Yeah, motion is keep it.
I thought you were going down to 10.
So we're doing 10 plus the 5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, he did say 10. He said 10. My bad. You're right. 10,000. We just talked about it. Let's make that 10. Why did I skip highway? Sorry. So highway he wants 75,000 for the highway department equipment capital reserve. He wants 60,000 for paving and 50,000 for the bridge capital reserve, which I have an asterisk there because it was also, bridge capital reserve was also on the Selectmans, which is where it's normally landed. It's not normally been something the highways asked for. But I don't mind the road agent being proactive on the bridges.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if we need to talk to him, because we did not address this at the workshop with him, which I regret, because he asked, I mean, I'm sure he has a reason for jumping up to 75,000. Last year was 50 for the.
He's coming back anyway, isn't he?
Jeffrey?
Yeah,
Coming back,
because we have some things that are open-ended.
back to the budget committee, but not the select board. But I can ask him at the budget committee too, and then, bring that back to this table. I don't mind.
See, the capital reserve fund, I understand, all those equipment is
Yeah,
30 years old.
right, yeah.
The paving, I don't understand because it's in his budget also.
I agree.
So he's
I
not
agree.
getting stuff paving twice.
I agree.
What was it, 40 for paving in his budget? He's gonna get $100,000 for
Right.
paving.
Yeah, and I think in general what happens is the 40,000 in his budget, is that what the number was? That covers mostly patching more than anything else. Oh, it's 20. We drop it down to 20. So 20,000 will cover patching. The separate warrant for paving has, I believe, traditionally been
Road.
doing a portion of a road. And it's normally doing a portion of an already paved road that needs to be repaved or needs, the surface needs to be repaired. When he was at the table with us, everything he talked about was paving dirt roads.
Yeah, so you're gonna pave a dirt road 1 year and go back and top it the next.
Right.
It's a 2-year project.
I think I've already expressed my opinions about that, so it's not just my opinion that matters here, so I'd love to hear what you think about that concept.
When's his appointment with the budget committee?
Tomorrow night. Oh, no.
He's not back.
I don't know.
Do you remember
We
seeing
haven't
him?
rescheduled.
I don't think we haven't rescheduled him, no. He was just there last week, but he was told by Ed to go get pricing on culverts and then come back.
Before
And
the
I'm more
end
than
of
happy
the
to have
year.
that conversation with you right now too. Because the budget committee should not be giving the road agent orders on how to spend his money.
True.
two can connect somehow off meeting and let me know what you said, but I'll definitely bring back whatever happens at the budget committee. Which I completely spaced on my ex officio report. I brought everything just so I could say what the budget committee did, so we can touch on that later if we have time, or do you wanna hear? All right, so let's table the highway. How's that? Or do you wanna make decision on
We'll just table it,
table the whole thing?
yeah.
Okay. I'll second that. Recycling, we don't need to talk about a third time.
No.
That's 10. And the equipment one's off the table. The rec committee would like to redo the tot yard.
What did he redo the tot yard?
No. Bring that one too. I don't know.
Black mulch.
He was talking about mulch or something.
No, that was something, that's a line item in their budget. This was, this was
$3 or
like,
$4 for bark mulch.
yeah.
So you wanna do another structure?
Believe he said that the old plastic equipment was busting up and needed to be replaced.
That little ride-on,
Yeah,
fancy animals.
yeah, the little spring loaded guys.
Grow, glue, and duct tape. Graftonize those things. Make a unicorn out of one of them.
How did I not get that one?
Other than donate Bondo.
No. Yeah, so they wanted, well, and he doesn't even have a number, $3,000 to $4,000. So I feel like we should probably find out exactly what he wants and what the actual cost is.
Yeah.
Alright, so we'll table that one too.
Then we'll find a price and come back to us before the end of the year.
Yep.
Who's making the motion?
A motion?
Got a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Funny in my head. And then ours, the Board of Selectmans. Or wait, yeah, that's the next one I have on there. So bridge again, because it's traditionally been in ours, so we'll see what happens between us and Jeff on that one. We'll leave that be. This storage vault capital reserve, we haven't done anything since I've been on the board. I don't know that I really understand what it's all about, and I'm happy to just skip it.
What is
The account itself has $5,084 in it.
storage vault, capital reserve?
Yeah.
We have a vault.
No, we don't. I think that was the intent, was that we needed one, but, you know, we need so many other things, and we don't even have a building to put a storage vault in, so I'm okay with not adding to that or doing anything with it, yeah. Town hall repairs capital reserve. Last year we threw 10 in it, so I just tossed on that. I think we should do 10 again.
Sounds good.
Okay. And then the Veterans Park capital reserve.
Property tax review.
Oh, I'm sorry, property tax reval. Yeah. So we finally got it reestablished last year, a little behind schedule when we wanted to. I think we should do 15, because we need 50,000 in it by 2025, because that's the way the Avatar, contract reads. It's like 17,000, 18,000, or whatever it is for 4 years, and then in the 5th year, when they do the townwide reval, it bumps up to like 62,000. So yeah, so we, yeah.
What's it?
The property tax revaluation capital reserve, when Avatar has to do a townwide reval every 5 years. So we have a steady price for 4 years, and then the 5th year it jumps. They don't spread it out over the contract, because because we got off the contract here. Last cycle or the cycle before, and we ended up, so our contract's backwards, and it ends up with a big balloon payment at the end kind of thing. So, I think we figured it out last year that 15,000 a year up until 2025 would get us to where we need to be, to not have a big jump in property taxes in that year, or in that cost to us. Yeah,
That's
good with that one?
good. Yeah.
And then the Veterans Park. We did 5,000 last year, and I think that was a bump up from the normal 3, or is it normally, is it always 5? Do you know, Jim?
I'm just aware of last year and the year before.
Okay. Yeah. So that it's showing that we have 8,750 in that account right now, but I know we just signed off for that new monument for 3,800 to come out of there.
Which is half of it.
Right. Okay. So I had, my suggestion was to add 3,000, to do a warrant article to add 3,000. I don't feel like that you guys came to us and asked for much more, that there was, you know, I think, that's why I think it was a bump up last year, because you had planned on this monument.
Mm-hmm.
So I think 3 has been the normal prior to that.
The expense that I see in the future in 3,060, I think would cover it.
Okay,
It's just adding new names as they
sure.
come up, you know, and right now, you know, it's about, average is about $150 per name,
Mm-hmm.
you know, some more, some less.
Sure.
So, you know, I don't think 3,000 I think will do, and then, but I would look next year, maybe that could be lowered, you know, I don't want to accumulate a lot of money in there that we aren't
Okay.
gonna need,
Okay.
you know.
Well,
I know right now we have like 4 additional names that we're really verifying that should be added, you know,
mhm.
so. We haven't got the experience yet to see what's gonna,
Welcome to the club.
you know, once you have that monument up there, names will be coming out of the woodwork.
Sure,
you know.
sure.
But I think we don't have to put them all up at once.
Sure.
We'll,
Okay. Yeah, because there'll still be some left after we finish paying for that, for the monument.
yes.
So,
How many names can you put on a rock?
will you be surprised?
Huh?
I said, will you be surprised?
We got, what is it? The 18 planned right now, and the part of the money that the 3,800 went towards that. We have room for additional 60.
So you're not gonna need another monument anytime soon?
God willing.
No.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, there was a 3.
Okay, leave it at 3. So we've got for the Selectmans, we skipped the bridge, we skipped the storage vault, and we have town hall repairs 10, property tax revale 15, and Veterans Park 3.
Yep.
Right. That was your motion?
Motion.
Second. Alright, and then the town clerks. So she's got this records restoration project, and she tends to ask for $3,000 every year for it. We had asked her last January what her numbers were, because we were considering setting up a capital reserve account for it. She did not respond to that email, and I have it printed out. I'm not putting words in anybody's mouth or making accusations that aren't valid. We got a response in April. She has 35 books. Out of her $3,000 every year, I believe she tells us that she gets 2 to 3 of them done, depending on their size. So I just ran the math and came up with, I came up with a number I didn't write down and bring with me. That's awesome. Oh no, there it is, 52.5. It costs us $52,500 to do the 35 books, or somewhere in that ballpark. So my thinking was to put a warrant article that would establish a capital reserve fund and put 5,000 in it. My thinking was 5,000 for give or take 10 years, and the project would be, even if it's not done, the funding is there, so we don't have to keep paying for it little by little. And the funds don't have to keep being encumbered if it doesn't get done, and she can just go get a book done when she gets a book done, submit a request to the trustees of the trust fund, have it done. We don't have to keep playing, all the only warrant articles needed will be for the next 9 years, to add 5,000 to the already existing fund. That was my thinking. Unless you prefer to do the $3,000 a year piecemeal.
No, I
So,
like that $5,000
okay.
reserve.
Okay, so the way I wrote it up, and again, it's just me writing it as best I can at the moment, needs to be checked, verified by the DRA, by the town attorney, whoever. I wrote that we should write something like, to see if the town will vote to establish a town historical records restoration capital reserve fund, and to raise and appropriate $5,000 for the restoration of the town's historical records. I'll make that a motion.
Second.
With selectmen allowed to expend.
Well, and this is what I was debating. I started writing that in, the selectmen as agents to expend. And I was thinking about, so is the difference that either it's approved at town meeting or the selectmen are agents to expend? Because what I was thinking was the same way we as cemetery trustees can request perpetual care funds, and the trustees approve it, and it's turned over. I was thinking that if this is what the purpose is for, if the town clerk had records restored, she could submit a request for payment from that fund to pay the invoice from the trustees. I don't know.
The reason that it's set up is, in the past, they used to give the departments permission to do it, and then some issues came up with that. So now they've gone to having the select board be in charge. We had an issue with a bridge many, many years ago. And I think for this, Bonnie would be the one. You can actually allow
With the town clerk agent to expend,
to
yeah.
expend from it.
Right.
But if you have issues with the department or in the past, then
Yeah.
the select board is the one that takes it on.
Yeah, and I know that there have also been warrant articles like that to either spend money or set something up with or to make the selectmen agents to expend, where people will reject that because they don't want the selectmen to have that power. So that's where I was going around in my head about the right way to
But if
handle
it's
it.
like bridges or things like that, you want the select board to do
Sure.
that. But it's a little fund, and she knows what needs to be done when also.
Right, yeah, because out of her 35 books, she had listed so many are priorities, so many can wait, so many are, something else, so. I'll just put a note, we'll put a note on it, like, with a question mark, agents to expend, and just see what the recommendation is from legal and everything, and maybe
Can
see
we
what Bonnie thinks.
Can we still add a warrant article to this?
We absolutely can. We have until the middle of January to add
Oh, really?
warrant articles, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, and I'm glad you actually asked me that, because I was kind of hoping this might get your creative juices flowing and you'd think about other things we could do. So the other ones I have on here. To see if the town will vote to instruct the trustees of the trust funds to have 3 bearings discontinue the rec field shelter capital reserve fund and transfer the remaining 2-cent balance. I put to the Veterans Park Capital Reserve Fund. I don't really care, it should go somewhere, but to have a 2-cent fund sitting there is, it seems silly.
2 cents?
2 cents,
Yeah,
yes,
that's what it is.
that's what's left in it.
But it should be left open.
But that was for the rec field shelter,
Oh,
capital
okay,
reserve.
Okay,
And Ed had said that that the rec committee was fine with it being closed, but because of the timing and everything and the way that whole thing fell apart, it ended up that when they cut the check, there was still some outstanding.
geez, and we thought there wasn't enough.
Yeah, well, there wasn't, but,
Who do we wanna give our 2 cents to?
yeah. Yeah, and I was really looking at what the purposes were for the funds, and there is no other one that is the same. So,
Well,
I mean, we could go anywhere with that, and it could probably end up being a really fun thing at deliberative too. Who knows where that 2 cents might end up?
Doesn't the rec field have a capital reserve fund?
No,
No, they don't.
no, they no longer do,
maybe they should.
Thought they did.
no. No, the one that they had was for that shelter, and they used the money for the cook shack. And like I said, but there was this error 2 cents interest that got missed because of the timing of it all.
Don't we still need to do some work on this, on the bandstand?
And can we just transfer it to just a normal capital reserve fund?
You can do a warrant article to change the
And change the
purpose.
wording from shelter.
Change the purpose and
Take the
edit.
shelter off.
Oh,
Just have a recreation committee, for capital reserve,
sure,
because the bandstand's gonna need work,
okay.
and the other, if they ever wanna make that into actual ball field,
Alright.
that would need work.
Well, then let's skip this one, table it, think about how you wanna, if we wanna change it to something, like that, to change the purpose of it, and then perhaps maybe add some money, because 2 cents is not gonna get us anywhere.
No.
Alright,
Is that your 2 cents?
my 2 cents isn't even worth a half a penny. Then I had, whatever the recommended wording is for that veterans property tax credit that we got that letter about, so that can continue. And then once again, to repeat the one that didn't pass last year and the year before, or maybe just last year. To see if the town will vote to adopt RSA 4114A to give the select board authority to acquire or sell land, buildings, or both, and to demolish or otherwise dispose of buildings. And I added the words that were missing last year that I think may have helped. Or otherwise dispose of buildings after recommendation of the planning board and a public hearing. Because that is actually what's required by law in that RSA, but I think that people didn't know that, and I think that might help give us, that might help pass.
So what's the public hearing for? Just to let people know we're doing it?
Yeah, well, I mean, to give them a chance to say to share their opinion about it.
Say their goodbyes.
And we can hold off on that too if you wanna.
No, I'm good with that one.
Okay, that one's good.
Yep.
So I made a motion. We've seconded
Seconded.
on the last one. Oh, and the veterans one too?
Yeah.
Same. The last, this,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think that's it for warrant articles. And the agenda, sorry. We did talk about the town report. Yeah, we're gonna have to come up and figure out what exactly to post, but yeah, we'll have to do that. Fritz, building notification revisited. Did I send this only to you? My latest bastardization of the letter? Did you get a chance to see that before? Edit. So we had on September 20th, was it Paul? Paul and Mary Ann Fritz came to the meeting because they had filed a building notification and we had questions. And they came and we denied it and they walked out and we never sent them a letter. The assumption being that while they were here, they heard. But now they're in violation and they're continuing to build, and Tom went out and looked at the property, and there's also an outhouse there that there was never a privy permit for. So there was talk of how to send them a letter, what letter to send them. Tom and Sarah worked on a cease and desist, and I put the brakes on that because if we never sent them a letter telling them they were in violation, I felt like we shouldn't be sending them a letter saying cease and desist, because the ordinance states that they must be notified in writing of, regardless whether it's approved or not approved. So this is what Sarah and and this is something Tom has to do. Yeah, so anyway, so the letter kind of goes more back to, you were denied, and by the way, we also noticed.
I like it.
Do you like the letter?
Yeah.
And what do you want to do about this, Tom asked Sarah to fill this out, and she put it in the folder, and none of us signed it, and nobody finished filling it out.
We may have to send them either after this, give them a week, send them a cease and desist, or ask them back to see us face to face.
So you want to send out this letter that I came up with? That's this one, right? Yeah, it's the same. You want to send them this and then give them a week and then either ask them back or then send them a cease and desist and do a complaint perhaps, or
Send Mr. Health Inspector up there. Then he can get it, because he does his own little violation too, doesn't he?
I'm honestly not sure what the process is. I don't even know if our privy permit even states what the process is if you build an illegal outhouse. I'm sure there's more than one in town. Yeah. Yeah, how big a can of worms you want to open up? And keep in mind, I'm the one who's got to go to frickin' court on Friday this week thanks to Tom quitting, so take it easy on this unless you're taking off work.
Well, if we do it for one person, we gotta do it to all.
Yeah?
So I gotta send him this letter.
I think that's the right thing to do. Send this letter and give him time to respond in some way before we move forward with anything else.
Motion to send them this letter. Thanks.
Second. Thank you.
I feel bad that we put your name on it.
Of course she puts her name on it. Yeah. Nobody ever came in and shot Sue. Sarah will be fine. It's not like she's sitting in there unprotected. Town hall agreement we already did. So historic building assessment.
David, I keep forgetting to call Gretchen.
Huh?
I keep forgetting to call Gretchen.
Oh, you still haven't called her?
Oh, she's gonna be mad. No, I still refuse to sign.
You're still refusing to sign it.
Yeah. If I want to read this, I just read the town history book.
So,
We made a contract with her, didn't we?
we did. We signed an agreement for services, and while we're not happy with what she did, what she wrote, Gretchen did get her to come back out with the contractor. They did a second inspection. She is revising her draft. Gretchen is putting together, and she's working with your mom, as you know, to come up with historical accuracies to correct parts of May's draft report that were incorrect. The request is also to remove all of the added information that has nothing to do with this building. It doesn't need to be a third reiteration of the history of Grafton school districts.
Or the property that was here before the building was here.
Right, or people that might have been related to somebody who had something to do with this building that lived somewhere else and are buried somewhere else. And I mean, there was a lot of peripheral information that was just unnecessary. So, as you know, Gretchen's also been stuck in the middle of this. Tom's been refusing to pay. You've not signed it. They are calling her. She's been the point person because she was the one who came and asked us to do this. And I personally feel like it's not fair to Gretchen to have to try to make excuses for us. So if you don't want to sign it, you stand on your principles. I'm good with that, but I think we need to at least send May a letter and let her know what our reasoning is. And I think even if you do sign it and we send her a check, I would like for us to include with it a letter letting her know the things I just said about, you know, the reasons why it's been delayed and what we expect from her going forward, and that we do not want the report to be, we don't want whatever Gretchen gives her to be an addendum to her report. We want her report edited with the information we disagree with removed, or at that point, we will not give her her final payment, because we still have, there's still one more payment.
I thought this one was the second payment.
This is the second. We paid her up front. We paid her, I think, $1,000 up front, and then it was $1,000 with the draft report, and then the final payment after it's all done. So, services to be provided under this agreement as detailed in addendum 1 will be provided to the client for a fixed fee of $3,000. A $1,000 retainer is due at the start of the contract, which we've already paid. Invoices for services provided under this agreement will be billed to the client in two parts, with an invoice for $1,000 accompanying the draft submission to the NH Preservation Alliance Grant Review Committee, and then a final invoice at the project completion. Payment is expected within 30 days of the client's receipt of a valid invoice. We're way past that. But like I said, I think we should pay it, and I think we should tell her your final payment, though, that these are the conditions, and we want to review it before you give it to the Preservation Alliance to give their blessing to. It's our draft report, it's our report, not theirs. We're paying you, if that makes sense.
Yep.
I mean, we'll make it sound nicer. Sarah and I'll make it, pretty and professional.
That's fine, just send them a letter, explain why we're,
Yeah,
why we're not
yeah,
too happy
right,
with what they did.
yeah.
Was that your motion? And second?
That was my motion, that was exactly my motion, that was Lee seconding, for sure. Thanks. Yay, Gretchen will be so happy. And Gretchen also asked if possible if she could have a copy of that letter, so that when they call her, like they will, she knows what to tell them what we said. Are you okay with that? Yeah, me too. Mailbag time.
Not a problem this time. Compared to the last few times.
Greetings, I am submitting a letter of interest fulfilling the vacancy on the Board of Selectmen. Thank you for your consideration. I plan to be at the next meeting. Bill Robinson. No, he must meant the next meeting. Approval for a septic system at 9 Skyland Trail, map 7, lot 289-3-4, James McLean. This is the letter I mentioned earlier from Upper Valley Lake Sunapee Region Planning Commission. They want us to send a letter of support regarding their grant.
Oh,
That's the one that Rick said he doesn't do it, they don't do anything for us.
What's my
why
response
would,
to that?
why would we send them a letter in support? They don't do anything for us.
That's a good question. So, did they ask for a response either way, they just want the letter? Or you could if this was an email,
Mhm.
just let her know we'll decline. Another approval for a septic system at 1409 Main Street. This is funny, it says 1409 North Main Street. Do we have a north and south on Main Street? So, map 6, lot 84, Henry, I'm gonna botch up their name, Desnoyers. This is the letter from the city of Lebanon regarding those tip fee increases. This is another letter for septic approval. Boy, they've been going bonkers at DES, huh? 16.5 James Way, map 11E, lot 513, Ross Miller. Another septic approval at 243 Bullocks Crossing, map 11, lot 531, Andrew Selleck. And one more for 1834 New Hampshire Route 4A, map 14, lot 823, Pierre Blanc. That's it. Wow. Exciting stuff in the mailbag today. Public comment? Yes, Gary?
Gary Whitney, capital improvement plans. I don't want to pick on any one department, but you specifically mentioned the fire department at this meeting. The 40K, I think it was, proposed warrant article, addition to the capital improvement fund. Coincidentally, or perhaps not, at the last year's deliberative session, there was a major increase to the capital improvement contribution for that year. And I specifically asked at that meeting, why do we need that? What's that for? And is there a plan that explains why we need so much? And I was told, no, there isn't, but we're gonna have one. We're really working on that, and we're gonna have it by next year.
I did say that, didn't I? I'm sorry.
Well, that's the first part of my question. Is there such a plan? And secondly, especially if there isn't, I mean, other town departments have the same issue also, the highway department, police department, even the recycle area probably has an issue in that area. If we don't have some kind of plan that explains where we're going, what we need when, a new truck, a new compactor, a new whatever, how can anyone, especially the taxpayers, make a decision on whether that amount is justified? The select board, and this also applies to the budget committee, make a recommendation for each of those warrant articles, whether it's justified or not, recommended or not. How can anyone do that without some kind of capital improvement plan, at least at some level?
Yep. So, actually, I don't need to apologize for that. I think that was what my husband said, because
Yes,
the new
you're right.
fire department
Yes.
hierarchy was going to put that together.
Exactly, yes, you're right.
So I don't even have to make an excuse for that. I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. The planning board should be working on capital improvement plans for the town.
As a town-wide thing, I fully agree, yes, and that's been talked about. I talked to Ed Grinley about that at one point in time, and he said, yeah, we've tried that before, no one wants to do it, no one gets behind it. Is there ever been thought to someone putting through a warrant article for a town ordinance that says no budget warrant
Capital
articles,
reserve, yeah.
capital improvement contributions will be done unless there is a capital improvement plan for that department. That's been thought about, and can we do that? Can the select board perhaps?
You can do any petition warrant article.
I know that. I
If
know
you're
that.
asking if we would entertain that, I'm not gonna answer for the two of us, but, is that a request?
I'm asking a question, yes.
Okay,
I believe the select board is one of the better boards to do that, at least to get that started. Also, it's much easier for them, it's a vote of 3 to get that on the warrant articles. Also, they have the services of the town lawyer, to be sure it's worded correctly to be a binding matter, whereas any average citizen will just be looked at as advisory unless the wording is specific enough to have some teeth in it. Just throwing that out there.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Can I ask again, what is your problem?
Yeah,
What is your
No,
problem?
no, I don't mean it that way, you know what I mean.
capital improvements plan.
Yeah,
And there's a warrant article for contributing funds to a capital improvement plan. How do we know what the?
do you mean a capital reserve fund, or do you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Capital reserve,
That's why I'm confused.
yes,
Okay.
capital reserve contribution.
Okay,
It's 40K, 50K, 20K.
Okay.
How do we know that? Unless there's some kind of plan that explains where we're going. We need a new fire truck
so
this year
that is what a capital improvements plan is.
for each department, yes.
Excuse me?
Each department should know before they even submit.
Well, a capital improvements plan is a plan for every department. It's a 5-year to 12-year plan. So if we had a capital improvements plan, every department there would be a big contribution.
For the town.
But I think what Gary's saying is, and I'm gonna use the police department as an example, because they've always done such a good job. Russell's always done such a good job.
I agree, yes, you're right.
He
yes.
says, whatever it is, I'm gonna probably get the numbers wrong, but you guys will know what I'm saying. Every 7 years, I need a new police cruiser, and it's gonna cost $45,000, so, we're gonna put away 9,000 or whatever.
Each year.
To reach that point in the 7 years when you have that
Right,
problem.
right,
That
right.
is a capital improvement plan, although we don't have one set up, but that's,
Right. But I think
that's
what,
what you're
That's the
looking for.
plan that Russell does. Why
That's what
can't-
you're looking for,
Yes,
yeah.
well. why
and
can't
I
they-
think that's what Gary's saying, is that we as the select board should be telling these departments, if you don't have a plan, we're not going to put this warrant article.
Exactly.
And,
Yeah, it's just
Have no problem
putting
talking.
money away, we're barely getting any interest on it, so, yeah, I agree, but if we had a capital improvements plan rather than all these little capital reserve funds, it would work better.
Yes,
That's like
that's, yes.
all the money in your checkbook, and
That's
you
probably
write
true.
something out
Yes.
each year for one thing or another, but the plan is that you have to replace a fire truck in so many years, or a police cruiser in so many years. So you're on,
well, and I would also argue that I think it's a function of the budget committee as well. I really think it's something the budget
well,
committee
the way it's written in the
could be
RS.
working with. I get it, but I'm just saying, as an overall, looking
Well,
at the town budget.
it's not a bad idea,
Right,
yeah.
right.
But the planning board doesn't have to do it. The select board can ask for a committee to do a capital improvements plan if the planning board hasn't stepped up to the plate in 14, 15 years.
But the problem is, Maureen, where's the teeth to enforce that? Well, the planning board says you must do it. Oh, yeah, okay, sure. Unless there's an ordinance.
Oh,
No,
absolutely,
the
absolutely.
planning board would do the plan.
All right. Sorry, this is just like turning into this big debate about this one thing that's.
Well, no,
I don't-
I'm not really trying to debate it. I'm just trying to explain how it works.
See, I don't like putting all the money in one pot. I do believe that as a selectman, we should be going to each head and say, I need to know what you need and how many years you wanna do it,
Exactly,
and how much money you wanna put into the year.
exactly,
Well, I don't know, fine, you're not getting it this year.
exactly, yes, right.
Well, I think think
Yeah, well,
that-
usually like
I
a kick
think
in the
the-
ass.
I think the town gets to decide whether or not they get the money, not you.
I don't put, no, I don't put the warrant article on the ballot.
Someone recommends it.
If they have given you a warrant article that
I
they
don't put it on
want,
there.
you have to put it on the ballot.
Why?
If who has?
Am I correct? If the fire department asks you to put a
Absolutely not, absolutely, we are not required by law to put any department's, warrant article on.
Okay,
And I mentioned that earlier, that we did not do that for the library
Yeah.
a couple of years ago, we refused. So, okay,
but if I do a
Library's
petition
not a
warrant article,
department, is it?
the library is a department. As far as looking at the budgets, department budgets, yes.
Yeah, huh?
they are their own entity.
Yeah, and they'll tell you that first thing, but we still control their,
I'm sorry, what?
we're still.
It's
like,
the
what
selectmen's
they-
responsibility to put the warrant together,
Yeah.
so if we disagree with what they want, I mean, we could certainly
Yeah.
disagree to put any of these warrant articles on if we wanted to. And then if you wanted to go back and revisit them after the statement you just made, I would be happy to do that for you. To go back and say, what is your plan, what are your numbers, where is this getting us? Think about it, we can always do that at the next meeting if you want to, that's fine.
Because we get to like, what, middle of January?
Yeah, we've got time.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Sandy?
I don't know the answer to this, but is the capital improvement plan not just how we're allocating financing or planning ahead for a new fire truck or whatever, but is it not also on how we can improve our town? You know, what measures we can take to be proactive to further cut expenditures, you know, and work a little smarter? I don't know.
No. It's like a checkbook for each department, fire trucks, police, buildings, things like that.
So it involves no future planning overall for the town?
I feel like it somewhat does, I mean, a good comprehensive one would include like, replacing computers that, you know, what's the timeline for how long before you need to replace a computer? If we had sidewalks, that kind of thing, road paving and repair plans, I feel like, and part of that, certainly, I mean, we could be looking at, and I think that plays into if there's a master plan as well, then those would play together where you would be saying, we would like to have this new, you know, recreation field that had these things and, you know.
Oh, okay, that's
Yeah.
why, I guess I was getting a little confused, because the
Yeah.
master plan is what I'd really like to see initiated, and who is responsible for doing that?
That would also be the planning board. Yes, right.
Can we hear Tom's letter? The resignation
Oh.
letter?
You can, it won't do a thing for you, but
Alright.
yes. Where did I put it? Do you have a copy? I know I brought it with me.
Well, you got enough papers there, Cindy.
I know.
I took it out to email to you guys.
Because I even brought along the RSA's to back up why we did what we did, when we did. Holy crap, what a mess I've made of this. Sorry.
This is the stuff that I gave you guys, so I have to know. I don't have to
Here it is. This is it.
That looks good.
Select Board / Town of Grafton, it is with the deepest regret that I am resigning my position as Selectman effective 11/30/2022. The demands put on my business, family, and personal well-being have become unacceptable. Thanks, Tom McGinty, signed Thomas McGinty, 11/30/2022. Yeah,
So, this building notification issue with P. Fritz, I think that it was claimed that there's an illegal privy. I'm concerned how that was determined that it was an illegal privy. And if that is not for sure, I would really be remiss if I didn't state that I don't think we should pursue this unless it's known for sure, because these legal fees are not cheap. And
Yeah.
just to willy-nilly do this on suspicions or rumors or innuendo is I don't think it's good.
For
So-
one, he has to get a permit from our health officer for the privy. And
And those are kept in property files, so if
Sure,
there
a
was
small
one.
building doesn't necessarily need to be a privy, but did someone go and inspect and look down there? I mean, I'm not trying to be gross, but like, if there's a small building and people are assuming it's a privy and therefore there wasn't a legal privy notification
But
and now we wanna go sue somebody and is there any remittance if they did do an illegal privy? It just sounds like a rabbit hole that we don't have all of our ducks in a row and it's just gonna waste taxpayers' money with a lawsuit and ratcheting this up. That's my comment.
So all these septic design we get, that we just read off like 6 of them, they don't have one of those. That's required by the state.
Is it a small building or is it a privy where
It's a septic
Gross.
tank in his yard.
it's not what I'm talking about?
No, Tom had